Abbott Elementary is a mockumentary-style sitcom created by Quinta Brunson that premiered on ABC in December 2021. Set in a predominantly black public school in Philadelphia, the series follows a group of dedicated teachers navigating the challenges of an underfunded educational system. The show's blend of sharp humor, heartfelt moments, and social commentary has earned it critical acclaim and a devoted fan base. It's one of my favorite TV shows and deserves all the success it's getting. So I thought, let's talk about it, episode by episode. The series opens with Janine Teagues, an enthusiastic second-grade teacher at Abbott Elementary in Philadelphia, introducing viewers to the school's challenges. She highlights issues like limited resources and a high teacher turnover rate. We meet other staff members: Barbara Howard, a seasoned and respected teacher; Melissa Chimenti, known for her street smarts and connections; Jacob Hill, a well-meaning but sometimes awkward educator; and Gregory Eddy, a substitute teacher with aspirations of becoming a principal. Principal Ava Coleman is portrayed as more interested in personal pursuits than administrative duties, often providing comic relief with her unconventional approach to leadership. The episode's central conflict arises when a student has an accident due to the lack of a proper rug in the classroom. Janine's efforts to secure funding for a new rug highlight the bureaucratic hurdles teachers face. Despite setbacks, including Ava misusing funds, Janine's persistence leads to a community-driven solution. The episode concludes with a sense of camaraderie among the teachers, emphasizing their shared commitment to their students despite systemic challenges. The pilot effectively sets the tone for the series, blending humor with poignant commentary on the education system. The characters are well introduced, and the mockumentary style adds a layer of intimacy to the storytelling. The episode opens with Janine Teagues noticing a flickering light in the hallway. Determined to fix it herself, she enlists Jacob's help to access the electrical panel. Their attempt results in a school-wide power outage, including the air conditioning, leading to discomfort for students and staff. Meanwhile, Gregory Eddy seeks advice from Barbara Howard on addressing a student's chronic tardiness. Barbara suggests a firm, yet understanding approach. Gregory's conversation with the student's mother reveals underlying issues, highlighting the importance of empathy in teaching. Janine's efforts to rectify the lighting situation culminate in her fainting due to exhaustion and skipping meals. She wakes up in the nurse's office feeling defeated. However, the janitor, Mr. Johnson, eventually fixes the light, showcasing the value of teamwork and knowing when to seek help. This episode effectively balances humor with the realities of teaching in an underfunded school. Janine's relentless optimism contrasts with the systemic challenges she faces, providing both comedic and heartfelt moments. Janine introduces the concept of online Wishlist to her colleagues, aiming to crowdsource supplies for their classrooms. While some teachers embrace the idea, Barbara remains hesitant, valuing traditional methods and expressing discomfort with soliciting donations online. Janine creates a video to promote her Wishlist, seeking Ava's assistance to boost its reach on social media. The video goes viral, resulting in Janine receiving most of her requested items. Encouraged, she attempts to help Barbara with her wish list, but Barbara declines, emphasizing her preference for self-reliance. Simultaneously, Jacob endeavors to repurpose an old printer into a planter, reflecting his creative approach to resource limitation. His subplot adds a layer of levity and underscores the teacher's ingenuity. Wishlist delves into the generational and philosophical differences among educators regarding resource acquisition. The episode highlights the balance between embracing new methods and respecting traditional values, all while maintaining the show's signature humor. Janine's confidence takes a hit after receiving a negative teacher review. Seeking validation, she is eager to prove herself when Courtney, a notoriously disruptive student from Melissa's class, is transferred into her own. Janine believes she can reach Courtney through positivity and structure. However, Courtney's behavior proves challenging, disrupting the class and testing Janine's patience. Despite her efforts, Janine struggles to manage Courtney, leading to tension with Melissa, who had warned her about the student's behavior. Eventually, Janine acknowledges the difficulties and collaborates with Melissa to develop strategies to support Courtney effectively. Meanwhile, Jacob attempts to bond with Gregory, who remains distant. Jacob's persistent efforts to connect, including sharing personal stories and interests, are met with polite indifference. The subplot highlights Gregory's reserved nature and Jacob's earnest desire for camaraderie. This episode delves into the complexities of teaching challenging students and the importance of teacher collaboration. It also provides insight into character dynamics, particularly between Janine and Melissa, and Jacob and Gregory. A new student, Malcolm, joins Abbott Elementary, displaying advanced academic abilities. Inspired, Janine initiates a gifted program to cater to students like Malcolm, enlisting Jacob to teach the class. However, the program inadvertently causes division among students, leading to feelings of exclusion. Janine's attempt to replicate the gifted curriculum in her own class results in chaos, including the accidental release of snakes into the school. After consulting with Gregory, Janine decides to dismantle the gifted program in favor of a rotational enrichment program that benefits all students. Simultaneously, Barbara encourages Melissa to consider dating Gary, the vending machine supplier. Despite initial reluctance, Melissa agrees to a date, showcasing a softer side to her character. The episode addresses the challenges of implementing specialized programs in schools and emphasizes inclusivity. It also explores personal growth and relationships among the staff. With the school's art teacher retiring, Janine is thrilled when her college friend Sahar volunteers to take over the role. Sahar's unconventional teaching methods clash with Melissa's traditional approach, particularly when Sahar repurposes books Melissa had ordered for a project. Caught between her admiration for Sahar and loyalty to Melissa, Janine initially hesitates but ultimately supports Melissa, leading to Sahar's departure. Elsewhere, Jacob and Barbara collaborate to start a school garden, aiming to provide fresh produce for the cafeteria. Despite their enthusiasm, they face bureaucratic obstacles as the cafeteria cannot serve food not prepared in the school kitchen. Gregory, with his landscaping experience, secretly tends to the garden, ensuring its success. This episode highlights the importance of balancing innovation with practicality and showcases the staff's dedication to enhancing student experiences. Janine realizes she knows little about her colleagues' personal lives after Jacob reveals he's in a long-term relationship with a man. Determined to foster a sense of community, she organizes a team-building exercise, encouraging staff members to share personal stories. The activity leads to humorous and heartfelt revelation, strengthening bonds among the teachers. Meanwhile, Tariq prepares for an anti-drug presentation at the school, with Jacob assisting in his performance. The subplot adds a layer of levity and highlights the staff's support for each other's endeavors. Ava enlists Janine's help to lead the after-school step class, but their differing teaching styles lead to conflict. Janine prefers structure and discipline, while Ava adopts a more relaxed approach. The students gravitate towards Ava's style, causing Janine to question her methods. When Ava is unable to attend the class due to a family emergency, Janine steps in, incorporating elements of Ava's approach, resulting in a successful performance. Concurrently, Gregory reveals he dislikes pizza, surprising his colleagues. This revelation becomes a running joke, culminating in Gregory trying pizza with Janine, hinting at a budding connection between them. The episode explores adaptability in teaching and deepens character relationships through humor and shared experiences. Abbott Elementary hosts an open house, providing an opportunity for teachers to connect with students' parents. Janine is eager to meet the mother of one of her students, but the encounter doesn't go as planned, leading to self-reflection. Barbara's daughter Taylor visits, revealing tensions in their relationship and offering insight into Barbara's personal life. Gregory discovers that Ava secured her principal position through blackmail, causing him to reevaluate his aspirations. Open House delves into the personal lives of the characters, revealing vulnerabilities and fostering deeper connections among the staff. A new online trend called desking, where students leap from the desk to desk, disrupts the school environment. The teachers collaborate to identify the instigators and curb the behavior. Their efforts culminate in a humorous yet effective assembly that discourages the trend. Meanwhile, Jacob introduces his boyfriend, Zach, to the staff, marking a significant step in their relationship. Gregory seeks advice from Mr. Johnson, leading to a heartwarming mentorship moment. This episode balances comedy with meaningful character development, highlighting the importance of community and mentorship within the school. Facing potential budget cuts, Ava must present a compelling case to the school board to secure funding for Abbott Elementary. Janine and Gregory assist her in preparing for the presentation. However, Ava's unconventional approach and lack of preparation jeopardize their efforts. Despite the challenges, the staff unites to support Ava, demonstrating their commitment to the school's success. Simultaneously, Barbara and Melissa clash over fundraising strategies, leading to a humorous yet insightful exploration of their differing philosophies. The episode underscores the importance of teamwork and adaptability in the face of adversity, blending humor with poignant moments. The season finale centers around a field trip to the zoo. Janine grapples with a life-changing decision when her boyfriend, Tariq, announces he's moving to New York for a job opportunity. After introspection and conversations with colleagues, Janine decides to stay in Philadelphia, prioritizing her career and personal growth. Barbara contemplates retirement but ultimately chooses to continue teaching, reaffirming her dedication to education. Gregory and Taylor's budding relationship adds a layer of complexity, especially considering Gregory's feelings for Janine. Season 1 of Abbott Elementary masterfully combines humor, heart, and social commentary, offering a nuanced portrayal of the challenges and triumphs within the public education system. The ensemble cast delivers compelling performances, bringing depth and authenticity to their roles. Abbott Elementary kicks off its second season with Development Day, and the very first thing we learn is that Janine Teagues is doing just fine. Totally fine. Absolutely thriving, actually, at least according to her. She's got a fresh side part, new sandals, and a new mantra. No crying, no depression, no wah-wah. She insists this school year is going to be different. She's new Janine. But the second she arrives at school and sees that Ava has turned the faculty parking lot into a fully operational Eagles tailgate party, complete with barbecue and fans and face paint, her optimism takes a hard left. Ava greets her with her usual combination of charm and chaos, telling Janine she has to pay $50 to get her own parking spot back. I'm making extra money for the school, so put out or back out. Mr. Johnson's already there, eating ribs and telling anyone who'll listen, let me get the beef tips. I don't eat no pork. It's absurd and hilarious, and exactly the kind of welcome back you'd expect from Abbott. Inside the building, the mood is just as chaotic. Ava begins the Development Week orientation with a photo slideshow of herself in a red gown, looking like she's accepting an NITACP Image Award instead of running an underfunded public school. Quiet down. Be silent in the presence of greatness, she commands, before immediately asking the rhetorical, how was y'all's summer? And then rudely cutting Melissa off when she tries to answer. Janine introduces a new team-building idea called Wisdom Swap, where new teachers pair up with veteran teachers to share knowledge and techniques. Melissa and Barbara are immediately skeptical. Janine, clearly trying too hard to hold things together, insists it'll be helpful for workplace bonding. Melissa doesn't buy it, and Barbara gives her one of those iconic, quiet, judgmental looks that says, "Child, please." Meanwhile, Gregory is settling into his new role as a full-time first-grade teacher. He's deeply committed but still neurotically over-preparing for everything. When he tells Barbara he's color-coding his lesson plans 3 weeks in advance, she offers him some sage advice about flexibility. You can't plan out every day to perfection. There are going to be issues that arise where you just need to go with the flow and make the best of a bad situation. Gregory looks at her like she just handed him the 10 Commandments. He tries to play it cool, but the man's a control freak. It's going to be a journey. Back in the teacher's lounge, Jacob returns from his summer trip teaching in Peru and is absolutely glowing with the joy of being back among his people. He talks about how he's been inspired to learn ASL after watching Coda, and he proceeds to sign the word together. Barbara and Melissa react as if he just pulled out a Ouija board. There's also a sweet and quiet subplot involving Barbara. She's been working behind the scenes to get accommodations ready for a new student who uses a wheelchair. With Ava's help, miraculously, they used some grant money to install a ramp, and now she's looking for a proper desk. Gregory volunteers to find one in storage and actually pulls it off, showing that he's not just a neurotic, neat freak, he's useful too. Meanwhile, Janine insists she's thriving post-Tariq breakup, but Jacob and Gregory are noticing cracks in the facade. Her lights are being shut off at home, her rent is behind, and she hasn't really processed any of it. But when confronted, she does what Janine does best. She smiles, chirps, "It's fine," and tries to plan another icebreaker. Then comes the mixer, Janine's big wisdom swap event. Despite initial resistance, it turns out to be a hit. Teachers actually open up and share their strategies and quirks. Janine has arranged for a special guest to seal the deal, and out comes Gritty, the chaotic and beloved mascot of the Philadelphia Flyers. Kids scream, teachers cheer. Melissa looks mildly impressed. Ava asks Gritty to be her date to Made in America. Gritty, of course, is silent but mysterious, as always. In the final moments, Janine admits to Barbara and Melissa that she hasn't been as fine as she claimed. The breakup hit her hard, and she's been trying to power through it alone. Barbara gently reminds her, it's okay to need help. Even the strong ones cry sometimes. It's an earned moment of vulnerability, and it brings the emotional weight that Abbott Elementary does so well. Humor without ever losing heart. This was a fantastic season opener. It had everything. Tailgates in school parking lots, Ava in full diva mode, Mr. Johnson with barbecue sauce on his shirt, Gritty being his chaotic Muppet self, and a heartfelt emotional thread that reminded us why this show continues to hit the sweet spot between comedy and compassion. Janine may not be thriving, but if we're lucky, this season will be. The episode opens with Janine in the hallway as a mysterious package is wheeled into Abbott. She's excited. Finally, maybe something new for once. A printer? Classroom supplies? Nope. Turns out it's a delivery meant for Addington, the posh charter school up the street. And inside the box? Tablets. As in full-blown, shiny, still-in-the-packaging tablets. Janine gasps as if she's seeing forbidden fruit. Ava, realizing this delivery is a mix-up, is instantly interested in the potential for content. I could go viral for this. They're gonna love this on TikTok. Call it exposing charter school privilege. Meanwhile, Barbara, Melissa, and the others look like they're watching someone accidentally bring foie gras into a Waffle House. Melissa immediately senses a fight brewing. They've got tablets. We've got chalkboard erasers older than Joe Biden. Janine, as usual, tries to see the positive. But we have grit. Gregory deadpans, I don't think the kids want to take a test with grit. This accidental delivery kicks off a spiral of envy, particularly for Janine. She becomes obsessed with the idea that Abbott is falling behind. In true Janine fashion, she believes the solution lies in another one of her big ideas. This time, pitching for new tech through discretionary district funding. Meanwhile, Gregory is having his own crisis. He's trying to teach his class about shapes, but he keeps getting distracted by the idea that everything is a triangle. He's drawing triangles on the board, on napkins, even on fruit. It's just such a good shape, he says, clearly one cough away from falling into a math cult. When Jacob tries to lighten the mood by explaining that all shapes are beautiful and valid, Gregory mutters, "Circles are liars." We don't get closure on that thought, and honestly, I didn't need it. It was perfect. Back in the teacher's lounge, Ava reveals that she's hosting a Shark Tank-style pitch competition for that district money, which she names Ava Tank. She is naturally the sole judge. Y'all better sell me like you sell Girl Scout cookies to a diabetic uncle. Gregory immediately bows out, saying this reeks of nepotism and chaos. Ava just smiles. Exactly. Now you're getting it. Janine, ever determined, prepares her pitch with Jacob as her assistant. She wants a computer to run new reading software that tracks student progress. But when she finally presents to Ava, she gets nervous and accidentally refers to the classroom as a high-performance learning vortex, which sounds like a startup that would fire her in 6 months. Somehow, Ava is impressed anyway. You used big words and made it sound expensive. Approved. But things go downhill fast when Janine realizes that the funding was never real. It was a ruse Ava concocted to test who was hungry enough to hustle. Janine is crushed. She thought she was finally going to make a tangible improvement to her classroom. She admits to Gregory in a quiet moment, "I just wanted to give the kids the tools they deserve." Gregory, seeing Janine vulnerable and earnest, does something uncharacteristically tender. He helps her fix up the old classroom desktop so it can at least run the program she wanted. "It's not perfect," he says, "but it works. Kind of like us." There's a beat. They exchange a long look. The will they won't they vibes are strong. Strong like school coffee before budget cuts. Meanwhile, Melissa steals one of the tablets to show her class, trying to inspire them to keep working hard. One kid goes, "Can I take that home?" And Melissa is like, "Nope, this thing's probably worth more than my car." In the end, the Addington delivery guy comes back, realizes the mistake, and reclaims the tablets. Ava tries to offer him a collaboration instead of returning them. He ignores her and leaves with everything, including her dignity, which she claims she never brought to work anyway. The final moments of the episode show the teachers back in their classrooms, back to their resource-stretched routines, but with renewed resolve. Janine prints out a full-color worksheet, thanks to the refurbished desktop Gregory helped fix. She beams like she just hit the jackpot. This episode really stuck with me. It's such a relatable story. The sting of seeing others have more while you're trying to make do. Abbott doesn't just mock the inequality between public and charter schools, it stares right at it and still finds a way to make us laugh. There's a moment of deep honesty when Janine says, "We work so hard, and it still feels like we're losing." And that line hit harder than a surprise fire drill after lunch. This episode perfectly balances social commentary with its signature blend of chaos, Ava-isms, and emotional honesty. It reminds us that these teachers aren't superheroes, but they show up every day, and sometimes that's enough. It's another day at Abbott, and we open with Janine being her usual morning sunshine self, chatting to Barbara while doing her Monday motivational march. Barbara, unfazed, gives Janine the same look she probably gives yogurt that's just past the expiration date. Meanwhile, Melissa is still juggling a class that combines both second and third graders. The school doesn't have the resources to split them, and she's clearly at the end of her rope. When one of her kids tells her, "Miss Chimenti, you're my favorite grandma," she glares and says, "You want homework on weekends?" He gets the message. Then, bursting through the front doors comes Jacob, positively levitating with joy. His former improv storytelling troupe, yes, you read that right, has agreed to perform at Abbott. They're called Story Samurai, and if that name makes you feel deeply uncomfortable, you're not alone. Gregory immediately asks the right question: is this a cult? To which Jacob responds, "No. We just use improvisational storytelling and martial arts to foster creativity and literacy in kids." Cool. So definitely a cult. Janine is 100% in. Barbara is 100% out. Melissa is somewhere in the middle, but mostly focused on not setting her hair on fire from stress. The story Samurai arrive in full tie-dye GI glory. There's a woman with braided pigtails who looks like she teaches a morning dance class at Burning Man, and a guy named Clive who says things like, "We don't believe in beginnings or endings, only story loops." They gather the kids and begin their performance, which includes improvised songs like, "A sandwich walked into a school and said, 'I have a dream.'" Jacob is watching like he's seeing his heroes perform on Broadway. The kids, half are confused, half are captivated, and one is definitely trying to sneak a fidget spinner into their hoodie sleeve. Gregory, ever the minimalist, says, "I teach kids to read. That's it, I'm not dressing like an interpretive banana." And honestly, who could argue with that? Meanwhile, Melissa is visibly cracking under the pressure of teaching 2 grade levels. She's got second graders asking what multiplication is, and third graders asking how to spell because, and she's like, "I need a drink and it's not even noon." She refuses help at first. Classic Melissa, tough as concrete. But Barbara sees through it. Later in the lounge, Barbara gently tells her, "Needing help doesn't mean you're not good at what you do. It just means you're human." It's a beautiful moment between two powerhouse women who rarely show softness, and it lands. Back with Story Samurai, Janine insists they do another performance. But this time, Jacob's asked to join in. You'd think he'd be thrilled, but instead he hesitates. Turns out he left the group because they weren't inclusive of his ideas and he often felt out of place. Janine, in her ever-relentless optimism, encourages him to reclaim his space. So Jacob joins them on stage. And friends, it is glorious. He whips out a story about a talking broomstick who dreams of becoming a lawyer, and while the kids mostly laugh because he trips over a yoga block, Jacob shines. He's doing what he loves, and it shows. Even Gregory admits, that was less weird than I expected. Melissa finally accepts Barbara's help and starts to get a rhythm going with her combined class. One of her students even turns in homework with her name spelled correctly, a small miracle in teacher terms. The episode ends with Jacob, flushed and happy, saying to Janine, "Maybe being a samurai again wasn't so bad." She replies, "I'd give it a solid B-, which, coming from me, is huge." He bows. She bows. Gregory sees them and walks the other way. This episode is a hilarious love letter to every teacher who's ever had to sit through a school assembly and wonder, is this educational or is this just deeply strange? It also gently explores the ideas of community, burnout, and reclaiming space for your passions, even if your passion includes spontaneous raps about sea otters. I love this episode. It was classic Abbott, weird, warm, and surprisingly moving. Jacob got his moment, Melissa got help, and the kids got a lesson in storytelling from people in belts that may or may not be official martial arts certifications. That's what I call a win. We start the day at Abbott with a classroom problem that every teacher knows all too well. The one kid who just cannot stay seated. Gregory, freshly committed to his job as a full-time first-grade teacher, is determined to handle his student Micah by the book. And by the book, I mean that specific Gregory brand of emotionless, logic-forward authority. You know, the military light approach. Micah, however, is unfazed. He won't stay in his chair, keeps yelling out random facts about the show Bluey, and asks questions like, "Mr. Eddie, do you think Bluey would be friends with Batman?" To which Gregory gives a slow blink, clearly calculating how early is too early to ask the janitor if the coffee machine is broken again. Gregory, trying to assert some control, does what many teachers do in moments of desperation. He sends Micah to the principal's office. But here's where it gets interesting. Micah comes back from Ava's office not looking chastised, not remorseful. No. He comes back with a lollipop and stickers and a t-shirt that says Future CEO. Gregory stares at him like he just returned from a spa weekend, because apparently Ava's idea of discipline is more day at Dave and Buster's than consequence-based behavior strategy. Gregory, understandably horrified, confronts Ava. He's supposed to be disciplined, he says. Ava, sipping what we can only assume is cold brew and self-confidence, responds, he came in with problems. He left with candy and ambition. Sounds like I'm doing my job. Gregory tries to argue that her rewards are undermining classroom authority. Ava claps back by calling him to the office over the loudspeaker in front of the entire school. Mr. Eddie, come to the principal's office. Now, pow, the kids scream. Gregory dies a little inside. Once inside her office, Ava breaks it down. You embarrassed, right? Imagine how Micah feels. A kid acts out and you send him somewhere that makes him feel smaller? That ain't teaching. That's punishment. And it don't work. Ava Knight, the character who so often seems like comic relief, delivers a moment of real insight. She believes that if you want to help kids, you have to actually like them, even when they're annoying, especially then. Meanwhile, Janine has her own mission. Fix Melissa's relationship with her estranged sister, Kristen Marie. Why? Because Janine watched Parent Trap one too many times and now thinks she's emotionally qualified to handle adult sibling trauma. It starts when Janine innocently mentions Kristen Marie's name, not knowing that she and Melissa haven't spoken in years. Melissa's icy glare makes it clear this is not a Hallmark situation. Janine, of course, cannot let it go. She calls Kristen Marie behind Melissa's back and tries to casually set up a reunion at Melissa's house. When Melissa walks in and sees her sister sitting on the couch like a ticking time bomb in yoga pants, Janine tries to explain. I thought maybe if you two could just talk. Melissa cuts her off. If I wanted to talk to my sister, I wouldn't need a third-grade guidance counselor with a YouTube channel to do it for me. Ouch. Janine, stunned but still chirpy, says, well, we don't talk about Bruno, and apparently we don't talk to Kristen Marie either. Eventually, Melissa kicks everyone out. But in a small moment later, she pulls Janine aside and tells her, I get that you were trying to help. Just don't do that again. It's harsh, but it's honest. And Janine seems to learn something about boundaries, or at least pretends to. Elsewhere, we get a fun subplot involving Jacob. He's trying to learn all the kids' names by quizzing himself with flashcards, except he's mixed them up and ends up calling one kid Charlene, who is very much not Charlene. Gregory, walking by, mutters, just write a seating chart, man. Jacob refuses. I'm building community, not spreadsheets. Back in Gregory's classroom, he takes Ava's advice to heart and tries a new approach with Micah. Instead of calling him out, he invites him to lead a discussion on Bluey during circle time. The kid lights up, he participates. He stays in his seat. It's a win. Gregory later admits to Ava that maybe she had a point. She responds, I always do. You just have to squint to see it. The episode closes with a now slightly less wound-up Gregory eating a snack with his class while they argue over whether Bluey would win in a fight against Sonic the Hedgehog. Consensus. Probably not, but Bluey's got emotional intelligence. This episode was so quietly brilliant. It took the idea of discipline, something schools wrestle with constantly, and flipped it on its head without becoming preachy. Ava, who so often seems like the comic hurricane in a pantsuit, shows surprising depth. Gregory, who usually defaults to rules, learns that sometimes kindness can be the stronger strategy. And Janine? She learns that sometimes love means not trying to fix everything. We open with Janine doing what Janine does best, pushing a new initiative nobody asked for. This time, she's excited that the cafeteria is replacing its usual tiny, probably too old juice boxes with brand new, healthy juice pouches. More vitamins, more hydration, more ounces, she chirps. Barbara, calmly sipping her tea and silently judging Janine with the intensity of a woman who survived the Reagan administration in education, is skeptical. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And in classic Janine fashion, she ignores her. Let's be real. Janine hears feedback the way a squirrel hears traffic. Once the new juice rolls out, things go south. Fast. Turns out, the extra 2 ounces of hydration mean every kid is now sprinting to the bathroom every 30 minutes. Janine's classroom turns into a potty parade. Gregory's lesson on shapes is interrupted every 5 seconds by, "Can I go now?" And even Jacob is fielding accidents in the hallway like he's a mall cop in a rom-com. The school's plumbing, of course, is not built to handle this liquid tsunami. Eventually, the first-floor bathrooms go out of commission. In desperation, Janine and Gregory sneak their classes into Barbara's private kindergarten bathroom, the sacred, pristine teacher throne room. You know it's serious when Janine's whisper yelling, "Flush it!" twice, while Gregory guards the door like he's protecting the Declaration of Independence. Eventually, Barbara catches them. She delivers a classic verbal slap. I told you from the beginning this was a bad idea. This is why we don't fix things that aren't broken, because then you break other things that were fine. Janine finally admits defeat and suggests reverting to the original juice boxes. Meanwhile, Ava is too busy trying to organize a school-wide hydration marketing campaign, Red TikTok dance, to help, and Melissa spends most of the episode low-key laughing at Janine's descent into bathroom madness. We got bidets back in South Philly, real ones, with attitude. In the end, Barbara graciously forgives Janine and even offers her a spare juice box from her stash, the classic kind. "No one needs 8 ounces of juice," she says, sipping with satisfaction. Peace is restored, bladders are safe, and Janine walks away just a little more humble. This episode is a great example of why Abbott works so well. It takes a small problem, juice, and spins it into a hilarious, very real issue that teachers face. Unintended consequences from top-down decisions. Janine means well, but Barbara's the truth teller here. Sometimes better isn't actually better. It's Halloween, and the teachers are getting ready for the school's big candy fundraiser. Janine, of course, is dressed up like a literal bumblebee and buzzing with excitement. Jacob's in full Polly Bleecker from Juno cosplay, which tracks, and Gregory, he's in a regular suit. "I'm a professional," he says, which might be the least fun Halloween costume ever invented. The main plot kicks off when Ashley, Melissa's new classroom aide, who operates on pure Gen Z chaos energy, is put in charge of distributing the candy fundraiser boxes to the students. Melissa's already skeptical, and for good reason. Ashley immediately gives out the candy without tracking anything. Like, she literally just hands kids boxes like Oprah. You get a box. You get a box. Within hours, the school descends into madness. The kids are hyped up on candy, running down the hallways like tiny gremlins on Red Bull. Jacob calls it Halloween meets The Walking Dead. Gregory loses control of his normally chill class and admits, "I've never seen fear like this before. I've been in a Waffle House after 2 a.m." Janine tries to implement an alternative reward system using fruit snacks. That works for about 2 seconds until a kid yells, "These taste like if sadness had a flavor." It's a disaster. Meanwhile, Barbara spends the episode trying to ignore the chaos, focused on her annual Halloween costume contest. She's dressed as Rosie the Riveter and is very ready to win. Until Ava shows up as a sexy Rosie the Riveter, complete with rhinestones and platform heels, and steals the spotlight. "Barbara, you're classic. I'm couture." As the sugar-induced chaos hits its peak, Melissa finally steps in and reclaims control. She corners Ashley and Melissa calmly explains that being an aide isn't just about vibes, it's about responsibility. Ashley nods, and then 5 minutes later is seen dressed as a banana breakdancing in the hallway. Progress. Eventually, the candy boxes are accounted for, mostly. The kids crash from their sugar highs, and peace returns to the building. Janine collapses into a desk covered in candy wrappers, saying, "Next year, we're giving out pencils." Things begin with Abbott getting an exciting opportunity. The school district is producing a promotional video to highlight the importance of public schools, and Abbott's been chosen as the subject. Janine is beyond thrilled. "This is huge exposure," she says, as if they're about to go on Shark Tank. Ava naturally sees this as her personal star turn. "You're telling me this is going to be on the district website and possibly seen by dozens of people? Say less." She instantly transforms the project into her own mini biopic, rewriting the narrative to focus less on the school and more on her, which, let's be honest, is extremely on brand. Barbara is wary. "This isn't about us," she says. "It's about the kids." But Ava's already planning wardrobe changes and quoting Beyoncé. Gregory, meanwhile, is deeply uncomfortable being filmed at all. "I don't like cameras. They blink. I blink. It's a whole thing." Once filming begins, things go off the rails immediately. Ava insists on being filmed walking dramatically through the hallways while students chant her name. She even tries a wind machine in the teacher's lounge. Jacob, being Jacob, offers an impromptu interview about radical empathy in education, which the crew ignores in favor of more B-roll of Ava doing finger guns at children. But when the promo finally airs, yikes. Instead of a feel-good commercial, it's a low-budget hit piece. The voiceover drones. Abbott Elementary, underfunded, unprepared, and unfit to educate your child. While slow-motion shots show flickering lights, broken tiles, and a kindergartner licking a doorknob. It's unintentionally hilarious, but also a gut punch. Janine looks like someone just told her glue sticks are being discontinued. Everyone's furious. Janine storms into the principal's office, a rare sight, and Ava, watching the video on loop like it's a Black Mirror episode, tries to shrug it off. "I mean, I look good though, right?" In the fallout, Barbara and Melissa vent about how the district never supports them. only exploits their struggles for pity points. Gregory and Janine try to draft an official response, but they're both too nice and end up with a letter that sounds like a Yelp review for a slightly disappointing brunch. Eventually, it's Jacob, surprisingly, who reminds everyone why they do what they do. Yeah, the ad makes us look bad, but the real evidence of what we are is right here. These kids, this place, us, every single day. Moved, Janine decides to make her own video, one that actually celebrates the school. The teachers band together, film their classrooms, and interview students. It's adorable, heartfelt, and, thanks to Ava's editing skills and liberal use of slow-mo, weirdly cinematic. The new video is a hit. Sure, it won't change the entire district overnight, but it's a reminder that the people who really know Abbott Elementary are the ones inside it. This episode is one of my personal favorites of the season. Sharp, funny, and deeply relevant. It skewers how bureaucracy and media can spin reality, while also reminding us of the everyday beauty in public schools. It's also Ava at peak Ava. Chaotic, clueless, but somehow still weirdly lovable. The episode begins with Jacob bouncing into the teacher's lounge, excited to announce the ultimate hands-on learning experiment, the classic egg drop challenge. His students are going to design contraptions to protect an egg when dropped from a height. Janine naturally is psyched. A project-based learning activity? That's my jam. Gregory looks less enthused. So, a lesson in failure. Cool. Meanwhile, Barbara and Melissa opt out completely. Barbara calls it messy and pointless. Melissa adds, "If I wanted to see things break on purpose, I'd go to Sunday dinner at my cousin Vito's." As Jacob and Janine get competitive about whose class will perform better, the project morphs from educational bonding into Egg Thunderdome. They start buying extra supplies and coaching their students like tiny NASA engineers. Janine even breaks out the glitter glue, which she claims is for morale. Gregory, caught between the chaos, ends up helping both of them build test rigs after school. He claims he's not taking sides, but it becomes pretty clear he's impressed with Janine's meticulous egg protection box. They share a moment, one of those quiet, flirty, so we're pretending not to be into each other again moments. On the morning of the big drop, the teachers head outside to the second floor window, which is now the official egg drop launch zone. Ava, who has no idea what's going on, walks by with an iced coffee and says, "Y'all doing witchcraft again? Cool." The drops begin. Jacob's students go first. Several eggs survive, but one explodes in a dramatic splatter that hits a third grader in the shoe. Janine's turn is more successful, with her egg surviving and the glitter box fluttering gently to the ground like an arts and crafts meteorite. Victory? Not quite. It turns out Janine helped her students a bit. Too much. Barbara, who'd been watching the contest like a judge at a low-budget science fair, points this out. You did the work for them. That's not a lesson in science, and that's a lesson in codependence. Janine, stung but thoughtful, reflects on why she overhelped. She admits she didn't want her students to feel like they failed, especially the ones who struggle in other subjects. It's one of those trademark Janine moments. Good intentions, bad execution, painfully relatable. In a touching scene, Gregory reassures her, "You care, that's why you tried. Next time, maybe let them fail a little, that's caring too." Meanwhile, Jacob, ever the human golden retriever, accepts his loss with surprising maturity. "Sometimes the lesson is in the yolk," he says, which makes zero scientific sense but earns a laugh. The episode ends with Ava trying to do an egg drop herself. She launches one off the roof without a container, watches it splatter on the sidewalk, and just says, "Symbolism," then walks away. This episode is warm, funny, and grounded, a perfect blend of Abbott's best qualities. It shows how even the most well-meaning teachers, Janine looking directly at you, can get carried away, and how important it is to let kids try, stumble, and figure it out. Also, the egg puns, truly top tier. We begin with Janine doing something she never does. She calls out sick. The moment her, "Good morning, sunshine," voice isn't heard echoing down the hallways. Everyone knows something's wrong. Ava checks in via FaceTime, naturally focused more on whether Janine left her desk snacks behind than her well-being. Janine assures everyone she's fine and recovering from the flu, but you can practically hear her trying to resist the urge to remote teach through her webcam. With Janine out, chaos descends upon her classroom in the form of Ashley, the sub. Yes, that Ashley. Melissa's flighty aide from the Halloween episode. If Ava is unfiltered chaos in heels, Ashley is her millennial understudy with glitter eyeliner and zero boundaries. She immediately disregards Janine's lesson plan, tells the kids to let their vibes guide the day, and decides that teaching math is a little too capitalist. Meanwhile, Gregory steps into help, and by help, we mean quietly panic while trying to micromanage the classroom from across the hallway. He peeks in constantly, corrects Ashley's teaching mid-lesson, and even tries to redo Janine's whiteboard layout. You know what would help this chaos? He mutters to Jacob. Structure and sentence diagrams. Jacob, of course, is thrilled to try and take over. He sees Janine's absence as a chance to be the heart of the school for a day. He attempts to make morning announcements, tries to run an impromptu wellness circle in the lounge, and even starts passing out inspirational quotes. One of the students asks him, "Mr. Hill, is this detention?" That's about how well it's going. Over in Barbara's world, she's dealing with a small crisis of her own. She ordered custom holiday cards with a typo. They say, "Happy Holidays from Barbara and Gerald," missing the second A. For any normal person, this would be a minor annoyance. For Barbara, it's a full-on existential crisis. That's not my name. That's not me. I am not Barbara. The rest of the episode, she slowly unravels in the most dignified way possible, snapping at printers, storming past delivery guys, and accusing Melissa of not understanding the weight of a monogram. Back in Janine's classroom, Gregory and Ashley continue to butt heads. When he finally loses it after finding her leading a lesson on emotional arithmetic, yes, she's having kids add their feelings together, he pulls her aside. But to his surprise, Ashley is aware of how off-script she is. "You're right," she says. "I'm not Janine, but I do care about these kids. And honestly, they're kind of getting it." She gestures to a group of kids who are happily making Emotion Edition posters. Gregory is stunned. Could chaos work? Later, Janine checks in via FaceTime one more time and sees the class completely off lesson and completely happy. She starts giving instructions anyway until Gregory gently cuts her off. "They're doing fine. You're allowed to rest." And in a rare moment of surrender, Janine does rest. She actually signs off. Progress! The episode ends with Barbara correcting the cards with a Sharpie, elegantly of course, and Gregory and Ashley coming to a strange, tentative truce. Even Jacob finally stops trying to be Abbott's spiritual leader and just listens. This episode was a sweet, slightly chaotic look at what happens when your most dependable person, Janine, steps out and everyone else tries to fill the void in their own wildly inappropriate ways. It also low-key pushes Janine and Gregory's dynamic forward again. He cares, maybe too much. Funny, heartfelt, and perfectly tuned to the rhythms of real schools. It's Abbott at its cozy best. The day kicks off at school with Janine doing what Janine does best, planning an overly ambitious, borderline obsessive holiday party. She's got schedules, spreadsheets, and a party flow diagram that includes time slots for cocoa, crafts, and carols. Gregory, in his usual emotionally constipated way, offers to help, but only if things don't get too festive. Gregory at a party is the human embodiment of someone choosing the veggie tray at a Super Bowl tailgate. Barbara announces that she and her church group will be hosting their annual Taste of the Holidays, a potluck of traditional, lovingly prepared dishes. Meanwhile, Ava announces she's planning her own holiday party at a hookah bar. What better way to say happy holidays than with flavored smoke and questionable choices, she says, immediately reminding everyone why HR doesn't come to Abbott anymore. Janine insists she can't make Ava's hookah party because she's spending the holiday with her family, a detail that Jacob, Melissa, and Gregory all take with a grain of salt. Melissa especially isn't buying it. Janine's got big avoiding family drama by overscheduling a cocoa bar energy, she says. And, oh boy, she's not wrong. Later, when Ava mentions that everyone's invited to the hookah spot, even Mr. Johnson, especially Mr. Johnson, Janine's resolve starts to crack. Eventually, she admits to Jacob that she's not actually going home for Christmas this year. Her mom canceled, her sister ghosted, and she's too embarrassed to admit that she's spending the holiday solo with an unstuffed stocking and reruns of Love. Actually, Jacob, being the cinnamon roll of the group, encourages her to come out and celebrate anyway, not with her family, but with her work family. Meanwhile, Barbara is dealing with her own quiet storm. Her daughter Taylor shows up unannounced. And surprise, she brought her new boyfriend, and it's Gregory. Yep, the same Gregory who's been dancing around a will they won't they with Janine for the past 2 seasons is now trying to impress Barbara while also dating her daughter. If you listen closely, you can hear the universe screaming awkward in every key. Barbara tries to keep it classy, but the subtle eye twitch gives her away. Janine notices the tension, and when she finds out the truth, is visibly rattled. She plays it cool for Janine, but you can see the gears turning. Oh, Taylor, Gregory, dating. What a nice surprise. I need to go adjust the punch to cookie ratio. Later that night, Janine shows up at the hookah bar, dressed a little sharper than usual and clearly trying to act casual. Ava's hosting like she's on Real Housewives of the school district. Melissa is winning at bar trivia. Jacob is dancing like a youth pastor on spring break. And Mr. Johnson is, somehow, the hookah DJ. And who walks in? Gregory, with Taylor. Janine sees them and it stings. But instead of spiraling, she takes a breath, joins her friends, and lets go of the control. Just a little. Ava, shockingly, is the one who gives her the best advice of the night. Family sucks sometimes, but friends? Friends come through. The episode ends with everyone dancing, laughing, and blowing holiday hookah rings into the smoky night. It's not the Christmas Janine planned, but maybe it's the one she needed. This episode was funny and tender in all the right ways. It gave us real emotional payoff. Gregory, Taylor, Oceana, Janine. The triangle is officially awkward now, plus some incredible one-liners from Ava and Melissa. It also showed that yes, the holidays are messy, but the people who show up for you, even if they bring hookah instead of hot chocolate, are the real gift.
Okay, well,
The school is hosting its annual Readathon, and Janine is absolutely buzzing. Reading, competition, an excuse to create a reading rainbow-level classroom display. This is her moment. She's dressed in full reading-themed attire and ready to dominate, until she finds out that Barbara's class has won the Readathon 10 years in a row. Janine sees this not as a friendly tradition, but as a challenge to be crushed. Game. On Barbara, of course, isn't even remotely threatened. It's not about winning, it's about inspiring a lifelong love of reading, she says. With the serene confidence of someone who knows full well her classroom is stacked with overachievers and early chapter book readers. Janine, desperate to dethrone her mentor, responds by doubling down. Themed story time, motivational posters, and a daily student leaderboard. Barbara's expression says, "That's cute. You're trying." Meanwhile, Jacob is helping Ava put together a promotional video for the school's website, mostly because Ava realized people stopped watching the last one after the first 12 seconds. Apparently, parents don't care about my slow-motion walk. Rude. Jacob tries to take the video in a heartwarming direction, interviewing students and showcasing classroom moments. Ava naturally wants explosions, slow-mo, and a voiceover that says, "Abbott, where the future comes to slay." They end up making two versions, Ava's unhinged one and Jacob's actually usable one. Ava later admits, "Fine, mine was more of a concept piece anyway." Back in the classroom trenches, Janine's obsession with beating Barbara starts to take a toll. She's rewarding kids with stickers, snacks, and confetti cannons. Yes, real ones. Every time someone finishes a book. Melissa walks by and mutters, "Are we reading or running a casino?" Things come to a head when Janine sneakily peeks at Barbara's class reading logs and realizes Barbara might be padding her numbers. Gasp! She accuses her mentor of cheating, softly, politely, Janine style, and Barbara is offended. Deeply. Barbara calmly but coldly explains that her class reads together. A lot, more than Janine's. And no, she's not inflating numbers, she's just teaching. Janine immediately feels awful for implying otherwise. Later, they have a heart-to-heart. Janine admits she got caught up in winning and forgot why she wanted to be a teacher in the first place. Barbara says, "Competitiveness isn't a flaw, Janine, but it is a distraction when it keeps you from focusing on what matters." In the end, Barbara's class wins again. Duh. But Janine's class shows noticeable improvement in reading engagement. Janine finally gets it. The win isn't the trophy, it's the progress. The episode closes with Ava showing her promo video to the students. Hers first. It includes flame emojis and a slow-mo wink. The kids scream with laughter. Then Jacob's version plays and it actually makes someone cry. Ava shrugs. "Okay, you get the end credits. But I want final cut next time." This episode was classic Abbott. A bit of silliness layered over a sweet, relatable lesson. Janine's journey from overachiever to, "Okay, maybe I need to chill," continues. And the Barbara-Janine dynamic remains one of the best teacher-guide-mentor relationships on TV. Also, Ava as a media mogul, I'd watch that spinoff. The episode kicks off in typical Abbott chaos. Janine bursts into the teacher's lounge with a fresh batch of energy and an idea to streamline the school's outdated drop-off and dismissal process. The current system is basically a free-for-all. Kids crisscrossing hallways, backpacks flying, one poor kindergartner always getting picked up by the wrong uncle. Janine's pitch? A new routing chart with labeled zones, scheduled dismissal times, and color-coded arrows on the floor. It's structured, safe, and, in her words, very IKEA showroom but make it scholastic. Most of the staff is like, sure, why not? But Melissa, she's not having it. "I've been using the same method for years. It works, it's fast, and nobody's gotten lost. Yet." She's proud of her hallway management, which is basically traffic cop meets mob boss. And let's be honest, it works. Janine pushes harder, saying it's not about tradition, it's about efficiency. Melissa counters that maybe Janine's obsession with systems doesn't account for how kids and teachers actually function in the real world. And just like that, the tension starts simmering. Meanwhile, Ava's got her own conflict going. She's convinced someone is stealing her pens. She starts installing security cameras around her desk and suspects everyone, including Mr. Johnson. "You think I'm dumb enough to steal your dollar store pens?" he says. "I got fountain pens in my sock drawer from 1987. Honestly, I believe him. Back in the hallway, Janine implements her new dismissal system. Kids are confused, parents are frustrated, and even Jacob ends up stuck in Zone C trying to decode the new arrow system like it's a map in Zelda. Melissa stands nearby, arms folded, looking like she's watching a toddler knock over a Jenga tower. Told ya. The conflict finally explodes when Janine tries to redirect Melissa's kids into the new path. Melissa barks, "Don't touch my system!" Janine snaps back, "Your system is chaos." Everyone in earshot, including Gregory and Barbara, freezes like they just heard someone curse in church. Gregory, in true Gregory fashion, tries to fix things by mediating. He awkwardly suggests a hallway compromise plan and ends up standing between Janine and Melissa like he's refereeing a reality TV reunion. After a little distance and Ava mocking both of them, Janine and Melissa have an honest conversation. Janine admits she didn't want to step on Melissa's toes, but she also wanted to be heard. Melissa in turn says Janine's system isn't wrong, it just needed adjusting for Abbott. "You plan everything like it's a robot. These kids, they're spaghetti. They go where they want." The two make peace and blend their systems. Melissa gets her flow back. Janine gets some structure. The dismissal process ends up actually working. Not perfectly, but hey, nobody got trampled, and that's a win. And in the final moment, Ava discovers that the pen thief was actually herself. She's been absent-mindedly stealing her own pens by storing them in the back of her heels. She nods at the camera. Genius can be a burden. This episode works because it does what Abbott does best. It shows two flawed but caring people clashing not over ego, but over how to best help their students. And it reminds us that even if you love your coworkers, sometimes you just need to bicker it out in a hallway full of poster boards and kindergartners. We open on Valentine's morning, and Abbott Elementary is dressed for the occasion. Red and pink streamers, paper hearts taped to the walls, and Jacob wearing a cardigan that screams, "I definitely made homemade chocolates," and a poem for my boyfriend. Janine is excited. It's her first Valentine's Day since her breakup, but she's feeling empowered, emotionally free, and not at all spiraling. She tells Jacob she's focusing on self-love this year. And the kids, of course. She then immediately asks, "But if someone was going to get me something, what do you think it would be?" Classic Janine. Across the hall, Gregory is doing his usual routine, pretending he doesn't care about Valentine's Day while very obviously trying not to care too much. He's dating Taylor, Barbara's daughter, and he's planning a low-key dinner. But his real problem? Janine. He doesn't say it, but he doesn't have to. His heart is stuck between a bouquet and a hard place. Then there's Barbara, queen of grace and class, who receives a very unexpected gift from her husband Gerald. A massive stuffed bear holding a sexy heart that says, "You're my naughty teacher." Barbara's face freezes in horror. "I teach kindergarten, Gerald. This is not a safe object." She tries to hide the bear, but it ends up in every shot of her classroom photos, looming like a plush demon. Meanwhile, Ava, always thriving on drama, is in her element. She saunters through the hall with a glittery red dress, flirty comments for every teacher, and a heart-shaped lollipop that she uses like a pointer stick. It's Valentine's Day. I expect to be admired, feared, and lightly objectified. In that order. Jacob, being the most emotionally available person on staff, gifts his boyfriend Zach a handmade puzzle with a photo of the two of them at the botanical gardens. He beams with joy, until he realizes he left the final puzzle piece in his classroom. Zach: "So this is a metaphor?" Jacob: "No, I just have poor spatial awareness." Back to Janine and Gregory. Janine receives a flower delivery. Red roses. She thinks maybe, just maybe, they're from Gregory. She flutters. She blushes. She's halfway to writing a thank you text when Taylor walks in, kisses Gregory, and says, "Babe, thanks for the flowers." Janine's face goes full heart-shaped cracked emoji. She tries to hide it, but Barbara, ever the emotional detective, notices. "You all right, Janine?" Janine: "Oh yeah, I love watching other people be happy in front of me." Later, in a more grounded moment, Janine admits to Jacob that she didn't realize how much she'd built up the idea of Gregory doing something unexpected. It hurts, but she's also proud that she didn't spiral. Growth! In the final act, Janine gives out handmade Valentines to her class, and one to Barbara. Gregory gives Taylor a gift she clearly doesn't appreciate, and Ava delivers a truly unhinged spoken word poem at the school assembly titled, "Love Me, Love You, Love Ava." No notes. As the day ends, Gregory watches Janine walk her students out, smiling, her energy back to full sparkle. He looks conflicted, very conflicted, and when Barbara sees it, she says nothing, but her face says, "Oh, it's happening." This episode is the perfect blend of hilarious and heartbreaking. It digs into the show's slow burn romance without rushing it, gives us peak Barbara comedy, and lets Ava be Ava in the best possible way. Everyone's got a little something to love, no, or be confused by, and that's what makes Valentine's Day at Abbott so wonderfully messy. The day starts with Barbara trying to keep calm, but you can tell something's up. She's doing that thing where she straightens everything on her desk a little too aggressively. Janine notices and asks what's wrong, and Barbara reluctantly admits that her daughter Taylor's boyfriend, Zach, is coming to visit the school. Zach, in case you've forgotten, is the tech bro who calls himself an entrepreneur, but mostly just walks around in Allbirds and says things like, "Disruption is the new literacy." Barbara cannot stand him. Janine, ever the optimist, says, "Maybe he's changed." Barbara just sips her tea like she's trying to boil her own soul. When Zach shows up, full of smiles, loud energy, and passive-aggressive veganism, it's clear he has not changed. He immediately starts pitching his latest startup, portable, eco-friendly composting toilets for schools. The kicker? He wants Abbott to be the pilot location. Barbara nearly faints. "We flush here, Mr. Sykes." Meanwhile, Janine is once again trying to rise above the awkward tension with Gregory and Taylor, who are very much still dating. Janine plays it cool when Taylor stops by to flirt with Gregory, but you can see the mental math happening behind her eyes. Gregory, for his part, is clearly not enjoying being stuck between his boss, Barbara, his girlfriend, Taylor, and his not girlfriend but maybe soulmate, Janine. Melissa and Jacob get roped into Zach's pitch when Ava, naturally, supports the idea because it includes branding opportunities and potential influencer outreach. Zach explains the composting toilet with lines like, "It's not a bathroom, it's a movement," literally. Jacob nods like he's impressed. Melissa looks like she wants to drop-kick him into a septic tank. Barbara finally reaches her breaking point when Zach brings a demonstration model into her classroom. It looks like a futuristic bucket and smells like betrayal. "You want me to let children sit on that, in this room? Over my monogrammed name tag," she says with fire in her eyes. She pulls Taylor aside for a private moment and expresses her real concern. It's not just about the toilet. It's about Zach being all flash and no foundation. He wants to change everything around him, but never himself. Taylor pushes back, telling her mom she has to let her live her life. Barbara agrees, but warns her, "Love should lift you, not spin you in circles." Elsewhere, Janine and Gregory share a rare quiet moment. He tells her, "Zach's a lot." Janine shrugs and says, "Takes one to know one." They laugh, and there's something in the air again. That familiar tension. Not quite romantic, but not just friendly either. Gregory watches her walk away. Ava walks up behind him and says, "Either kiss her or stop looking like a puppy outside a bakery." The episode ends with Zach storming out after Barbara rejects his proposal. He tells Taylor, "Your mom doesn't get me." Barbara responds, "Oh, I get you, Zach." That's the problem. Taylor leaves with him, but not before pausing. Just a second. Like she's rethinking things. Barbara returns to her classroom and finds Janine has left her a homemade Flush the Doubts card with a tiny plunger sticker. She smiles. She might not like change, but she loves being surrounded by people who care. This episode was such a clever way to deal with family friction, dating dynamics, and tech disruption culture, all while deepening the emotional core of Barbara's character. Plus, it nudged the Janine-Gregory arc a little further along without getting sappy. A plus balance. It begins on a normal Abbott morning, which is to say chaotic, coffee-fueled, and barely held together with donated glue sticks. But things go from quirky school to, oh no, real fast, when smoke starts wafting through the halls. The fire alarm blares and the teachers spring into action. Kind of. Ava, ever the pillar of mismanagement, immediately panics and yells, "Everybody out! Except the hot custodian. Stay close to me." Janine goes full camp counselor, herding her kids with practiced intensity. Gregory is cool and collected, though he insists on following the correct route from the safety binder, which no one else even remembers exists. Barbara, as expected, moves with grace and purpose. She also grabs her purse, her Bible, and one very confused turtle from the science lab. Outside, the teachers and students regroup in the schoolyard, where it's discovered that the fire was small and more smoke than flames, and it originated in the teacher's lounge microwave. Someone burned a bag of popcorn, badly. The culprit? Gregory. He tries to deny it, but Janine walks up, sniffs his sleeve, and says, "That's movie theater butter, my guy." Turns out he didn't read the popcorn instructions. He just pressed popcorn on the microwave. A rookie mistake that ends with the whole school doing a fire drill in 30-degree weather. This embarrassment spirals into a bit of a crisis for Gregory. He prides himself on being prepared, efficient, and control. But now everyone's calling him the popcorn arsonist, and Mr. Johnson starts leaving fire extinguishers in his classroom, just in case. He tries to laugh it off, but it clearly gets under his skin. Meanwhile, Janine is thriving in the chaos. She's created a new emergency plan, color-coded the exits, and even hands out laminated cards that say, "Drill mode engaged." She's having a little too much fun. Melissa finally mutters, "You realize we're not actually in the Coast Guard, right?" Over with Barbara, the fire scare has her thinking about retirement. She mentions, half joking, that the idea of spontaneous evacuation is becoming less appealing as the years go on. Janine hears this and spirals. Barbara leaving? Not on her watch. She starts asking probing questions like, "If you did retire, would you miss me more? Or the children?" Answer, "Whichever one doesn't cry when I bring tuna salad." But the real emotional core of the episode is Gregory's vulnerability. In a quiet moment with Janine, he admits that the fire incident rattled him more than he expected. "I want to be someone people can count on," he says. Janine tells him, "You are. Even if your popcorn game needs work." It's sweet, supportive, and their chemistry simmers just under the surface, like unpopped kernels in a metaphorical microwave. The episode wraps with the school back to normal, the fire damage minimal, and Ava installing a disco ball in the lounge to boost morale and reflect flames. Gregory replaces the burnt microwave with a new one and posts a handwritten sign above it that says, "Read the bag." Barbara, when asked again about retirement, simply says, "Not today." Janine breathes a sigh of relief. Fire is one of those great mid-season episodes that blends physical comedy, smoke, chaos, a turtle on the loose, with real character growth. Gregory's slip-up humanizes him, Janine gets to lead, and Barbara reminds everyone why she's the school's rock. And the slow burn between Janine and Gregory? Still going. Emphasis on burn. The episode kicks off with excitement. The Abbott teachers are headed to the Pennsylvania Educators Conference. That means 2 days out of the school building, paid meals, tote bags, and the kind of professional development that mostly involves nodding politely while ignoring PowerPoints. Everyone's hyped, especially Janine, who's treating this like the academic version of Coachella. She's packed color-coded outfits, laminated schedules, and is already scouting breakout sessions titled things like differentiated learning for the reluctant reader. Melissa's packing strategy, by contrast, is, "I got gum, a flask, and one blouse I don't mind wrinkling." Gregory's going too, and Taylor, his girlfriend, Barbara's daughter, is not. This means for the first time in a while, Janine and Gregory are spending real time together. Alone, kind of. At the conference hotel, Ava immediately ditches the group to hit the hotel spa. "This face isn't going to depuff itself," she says, sliding into a bathrobe with the efficiency of someone who's done this many, many times on the district's dime. Janine and Gregory end up sitting together in several sessions, some educational, some incredibly dull. At one point, the two sneak out of a workshop titled Engagement Through Rubrics and end up at the conference bar. Yes, the bar? This is where the tension really hits. Janine, tipsy but charming, opens up about her breakup with Tariq and her uncertainty about the future. Gregory, who's not exactly known for his emotional openness, does something rare. He listens, really listens. He tells her that she deserves someone who sees how hard she works and who appreciates her as she is. Janine, flustered and maybe blushing, asks, "Do you mean like a friend would, or?" Gregory sips his drink, like someone who knows what he's talking about. The moment hangs there, thick, warm, unmistakably romantic. And then a text from Taylor pops up on Gregory's phone. The tension evaporates and the spell is broken. Janine excuses herself, saying she has to go prep for her morning breakfast panel. Gregory watches her leave, looking like he just passed on the winning lottery numbers. Elsewhere in the hotel, Jacob is living his best nerd life. He's attending every session, trading email signatures with other teachers, and collecting so much free swag that his lanyard is visibly sagging. "I just love when learning is a community experience," he says to a hotel staff member, who nods politely and walks away. Barbara, meanwhile, is asked to speak on a surprise panel about veteran teaching practices. At first, she hesitates, and she didn't come here to perform, she says. But with encouragement from Melissa, she agrees and kills it. She's poised, insightful, and leaves the audience applauding. Melissa wipes a tear and says, "That's my girl." Back at the bar later that night, Janine runs into Ava, who has skipped every single educational session, but now has a glass of wine, a new facial, and 3 networking contacts, all for reasons unrelated to education. What can I say? People remember charisma. The next day, back at school, everything is back to normal. Janine and Gregory are friendly, cordial, not awkward, but definitely not the same. Something changed in that hotel, even if neither of them is brave enough to say it out loud yet. This episode is a slow burner's dream, one of the best blends of comedy and longing the series has pulled off. We get serious movement on the Janine-Gregory front, with a near confession and real emotional connection. Plus, it lets every character shine in a new setting, showing how strong the ensemble really is. We start off with Janine proudly announcing a new project. Abbott has been chosen to participate in the city's mural arts program. A local artist will paint a permanent mural on a wall inside the school, celebrating the spirit of the students and staff. Janine's eyes are sparkling. Ava is mostly interested in whether the artist takes headshots and accepts Venmo. Barbara, surprisingly, is not on board. She says she prefers the school walls to be clean, simple, and timeless. Translation: she doesn't trust a stranger with a paintbrush and a blank wall near her classroom. Janine Mount, of course, takes this as a personal challenge to win her over. It's not graffiti, Barbara. It's curated hope. Gregory is roped in by Janine to help with logistics, getting wall measurements, coordinating with the artist, and low-key suppressing his emotions while standing next to her. The mural artist, Vero, is exactly who you'd expect. Cool, tatted, deeply passionate about using art to uplift youth voices. She tells the kids, "This isn't just your hallway, this is your canvas." And Jacob nearly passes out from inspiration. The kids begin brainstorming ideas for the mural, and it becomes clear that they want something real, something that reflects their community, their families, and yes, even the hard stuff. Vero sketches a powerful design featuring students in motion, rising above cracked sidewalks and broken pencils to reach stars. Janine is moved. Gregory says quietly, "It's honest." Barbara says, "It's a lot." Barbara pulls Janine aside and finally explains her hesitation. She's not against the mural. She's against permanence. She says, "When something's on the wall, it stays. Are we ready to let that version of us represent the school forever?" It's deeper than Janine expected. Barbara isn't being cold. She's being thoughtful. Janine listens, and for once doesn't argue. Growth. Meanwhile, Ava becomes obsessed with having her face subtly included in the mural. She bribes a third grader with fruit snacks to slip a reference photo to the artist. "I don't want a full portrait, and just maybe me as the sun or the concept of wisdom." On the sidelines, Gregory is visibly struggling. He's supportive of the project, but distracted. When Janine asks if he's okay, he mutters something about being caught between what feels good and what's right. She's not sure what he means, and honestly, neither is he. But we know. We've all seen the teacher conference episode. Eventually, Janine and Barbara come to a beautiful compromise. They agree to adjust the mural design slightly, keeping the honest, student-led spirit while blending in symbols of resilience and tradition. Barbara sees it and nods, quietly moved. "I think that's something I can live with," she says. The episode ends with the mural partially finished, and the students gathered around, admiring the artwork they helped inspire. Janine and Gregory stand side by side again, close but not quite touching, and watch it unfold. Ava walks by, squints at the sun in the corner, and says, "Why do I have cheekbones in that?" Mural Arts is a beautiful, balanced episode. It explores the tension between change and tradition, creativity and control, the present and the permanent. It also keeps threading that deliciously slow romantic wire between Janine and Gregory, so taut it might snap by the finale. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and Janine is in full celebration mode. She walks into school expecting flowers, candy, and the professional equivalent of a standing ovation. Instead, she finds a tiny table of warm granola bars and a hand-drawn sign that says, "We appreciate you," with the "you" clearly scribbled over a misspelling. Janine, determined to make the week feel special, takes matters into her own hands. She starts organizing peer-to-peer appreciation, encouraging the staff to give each other compliments and thoughtful gestures. Ava naturally takes this to mean she should host a staff spa day in the teacher's lounge, featuring back rubs from a guy she knows with strong hands and no license. Meanwhile, Gregory is approached by a parent who gives him a thank you card and a smoothie. He's polite but confused. "I didn't do anything special," he mutters. Janine hears this and gently reminds him that just being there for these kids is special. Barbara receives a thank you from one of her students in the form of a song. Deeply off-key but sincere, she tears up, pretends she has seasonal allergies, and hugs the kid like it's the first good hug she's had since 2003. The real emotional gut punch comes when Janine organizes a surprise slideshow for the staff, full of messages from students past and present. Everyone gathers around. Melissa sees a message from a former student who's now a nurse. Jacob's eyes well up. Gregory, watching in silence, finally seems to let a little of his guard down. But then Janine notices something. Taylor hasn't sent a message for Barbara. It hits her harder than she expected. She quietly asks Barbara if she's okay, and Barbara just says, "Some things are appreciated quietly. Doesn't mean they aren't felt." That night, as everyone is winding down, Ava makes her version of a heartfelt gesture. She delivers handwritten coupons for one free skip of a faculty meeting and a signed headshot for morale purposes. Janine smiles. Even Ava is trying in her own chaotic, narcissistic way. The episode ends with the teachers finally feeling seen, sitting in the lounge, sipping lukewarm coffee and laughing over the slideshow bloopers. Janine gets a text from a student that just says, "Thanks for making school not suck." She reads it twice. Smiles. It's time for the Abbott Elementary Step Show and Community Festival, a big annual event that brings together students, families, teachers, and whatever local businesses are willing to donate enough soft pretzels to count as lunch. Janine, of course, is organizing most of it with the energy of someone who mainlined 7 cups of PTA-grade coffee. She's coordinating booths, assigning roles, and reminding everyone, this isn't just a festival, it's a community activation. Gregory, you mean fun, Janine? No, it's more purposeful than that. Gregory is coaching the step team this year, which we learn he did in high school, much to everyone's shock. You stepped? Melissa asks. Like, rhythmically? It's been going well, but mostly. But tensions rise when one of the kids wants to add freestyle moves to the routine. Gregory, being Gregory, wants order, structure, precision. The kids? They want flair. It's a classic follow the script versus trust the vibe clash. Janine offers to help, not with the choreography, God forbid, but with morale. She brings snacks and words of encouragement. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up and stomp your truth. Gregory stares at her. You say things with such confidence, and I have no idea what they mean. Meanwhile, Ava has decided she's in charge of festival entertainment. Her contribution? Hiring a Bruno Mars impersonator. Except it's not even a good one. It's just a guy named Mars who sings everything in the wrong key and insists on performing deep cuts only. No Uptown Funk, he says. Too mainstream. Ava, that's why you're cheap. Barbara and Melissa set up a staff favorites raffle booth where the kids have to guess which teacher loves which snack, animal, or TV show. Jacob's is revealed to be Gilmore Girls, and Melissa's is simply listed as meat. Someone guesses bacon, and she beams. Close enough. Tensions rise between Gregory and the step team until he overhears the students practicing their own version of the routine. And it's good. Different, but good. He has a rare moment of flexibility and lets them integrate their new moves. They perform on stage, and it's a hit. The crowd goes wild. Ava accidentally knocks over the cotton candy machine, and Gregory smiles. Proud, genuinely relaxed. Janine sees it, and you can tell she's thinking, maybe he's learning to loosen up. Maybe I helped. After the performance, Gregory and Janine have another moment. She compliments him. He compliments her. There's a long pause. They both look like they want to say something more. Then Taylor, yes, still Gregory's girlfriend, appears. And that unspoken moment collapses like a folding chair at a crowded cookout. Janine plays it cool, but we know the look. That, okay, he's still not mine smile. That, just kidding, I'm fine nod. Barbara sees it too. She gives Janine one of those subtle Barbara glances, the kind that says, child, breathe. The episode wraps with everyone enjoying the festival despite the chaos. Ava tries to crowd surf and ends up getting caught in the hot dog stand. Jacob wins the Best Dance Move from a non-dancer award, and Melissa manages to win the meat raffle she rigged herself. The episode opens with Janine getting the shock of her teacher life. She's been selected as Abbott's nominee for Educator of the Year. Everyone claps. Ava announces it over the PA system with all the professionalism of a nightclub MC. Let's hear it for Janine. Teacher Supreme Teagues. Honk if you love her. Jacob honks. He brought a literal hand horn. Janine's smile is enormous, but something's off. She's stunned, not in an excited way, but in a wait me way. At first, she plays it down, insisting she's just grateful to be included and trying to deflect attention. But as the school preps for the district's recognition ceremony, the pressure starts to close in. Barbara congratulates her, gently but proudly. Melissa calls her a goody-goody with hustle. Jacob bakes her a muffin loaf. Gregory gives her a look, a long one, proud, warm, but also quietly confused because Janine doesn't seem as thrilled as she usually would. She's got that smile that's just a little too tight around the edges. Ava, meanwhile, is planning to MC the Educator of the Year assembly like it's the Oscars. She wants pyrotechnics, a custom walk-up song, and, somehow, a laser show. She's the star. I'm the galaxy. As the ceremony approaches, Janine's self-doubt blooms. She begins obsessing over what her students are learning, or not learning. When one of her kids confuses Harriet Tubman with Beyoncé, she spirals. What if they only picked me because I'm always smiling and doing bulletin boards? What if I'm not actually good at teaching? Gregory tries to talk her down. You are good. You care. That's what makes you good. But Janine, overwhelmed, delivers the quiet gut punch. Maybe caring isn't enough. It all culminates during the award ceremony, when Ava, dressed like she's hosting the BET Awards, calls Janine to the stage. Everyone applauds. Janine walks up, face flushed, and instead of accepting the award with a speech, she admits to the crowd that she doesn't feel worthy of the title. There's a long, awkward silence. And then Barbara stands up and claps. Melissa joins. Jacob is in tears. Gregory stands too, silent but proud. The room gives Janine a standing ovation, not because she's perfect, but because she's real and honest and trying her best. And that's the job. Later, back in the classroom, Janine confides in Barbara. I thought I'd feel like I'd made it, but I just feel like I'm still figuring it all out. Barbara, smiling, says, that feeling never really goes away. And that's how you know you're still doing the work. The episode closes on a quieter note. Janine takes down one of her perfectly laminated charts and replaces it with a student's messy, crayon-drawn picture that simply says, Miss Teagues is cool. That's enough for now. The day starts off like any other. Kids bouncing off the walls, Jacob talking about compost again, and Janine excitedly organizing the school's Mother's Day event. She's collecting photos, helping kids write cards, and of course spearheading the Mom and Me brunch. She says it's one of her favorite days of the year, but when Barbara casually asks if Janine's mom is attending, Janine freezes. Oh, she might stop by. Maybe. She's busy. The sentence comes out a little too fast, a little too rehearsed. That's our first clue that something's off. Enter Vanetta Teagues, played with delicious sharpness by Taraji P. Henson. Vanetta walks into Abbott in heels too high for hallway floors, sunglasses too big for the building, and an attitude that could clear a room. She's stylish, loud, unfiltered, and clearly used to being the center of attention. Janine practically shrinks in her presence. At first, everyone's impressed. Ava loves her. That's a woman who's lived and probably danced on a bar. Barbara is polite, though clearly observant. Melissa? She sees the chaos instantly. That woman's got Vegas divorce energy. Janine tries to maintain her usual cheerful energy, but as the day unfolds, it's obvious that her relationship with her mom is complicated. Vanetta criticizes Janine's outfit. You still dressing like a human bulletin board? Downplays her teaching job. You get summers off, must be nice. And calls her my little helicopter, because Janine, even as a kid, always tried to fix everything. Gregory witnesses the dynamic and is visibly uncomfortable, not just because it's awkward, but because it hurts to watch Janine shrink under someone else's judgment. Later, while helping set up the brunch, Vanetta bails. She says she has a nail emergency and promises to be back in time, but of course, she isn't. Janine covers for her, telling everyone she's just running a little late. But you can see the cracks forming. Barbara gently approaches Janine and finally asks, Are you all right? And Janine, for once, doesn't smile her way through it. She admits it's hard, that her mom has never really been there, and that no matter how much she does, it never feels like enough. I thought maybe if she saw me, really saw me, now she'd be proud, Janine says. But I don't think she wants to see me at all. It's heartbreaking, quiet, honest. Vanetta eventually returns hours late, holding a smoothie and talking about a crazy foot massage situation. Janine, finally fed up, confronts her. Not with yelling, not with tears, but with calm, clear boundaries. I can't keep making excuses for you. I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't need your approval to be proud of myself. Vanetta, for once, doesn't have a snappy comeback. She pauses, then offers a weak, okay, well, I'm here now. Janine nods. That used to be enough. Back at school, Barbara hugs Janine in a quiet, warm moment. Some of us find our family later in life, and sometimes they're right down the hall. Janine smiles through tears, and the audience collectively melts. The episode ends with Janine joining her students at the brunch, fully present, fully herself. Vanetta sits in the back for a moment, watches her daughter laugh with the kids, and then quietly slips out. Mom is an emotionally stunning episode, unflinching in its honesty, beautifully acted, and incredibly relatable for anyone with complicated family relationships. Taraji P. Henson nails Vanetta as a mother who's both charming and damaging, and Quinta Brunson gives one of her best performances yet. This one hurt, in the best way. The episode kicks off with Janine excitedly organizing the annual school field trip to the Franklin Institute. a Philadelphia institution full of science exhibits, interactive displays, and a giant walk-through heart that becomes way more metaphorically relevant than anyone intended. The teachers are all assigned a chaperone. Janine, of course, has laminated itineraries, printed bathroom schedules, and a color-coded student tracker. Melissa? She brought beef jerky and duct tape. That's all the prep I need. Gregory is on the trip too, and he's not with Taylor anymore, that's right. Between last episode's tension and a very quiet breakup that we don't see but feel, Gregory is finally emotionally available. Kind of, sort of. As the buses pull up to the museum, Janine and Gregory are paired together with a group of students. Cue adorable chaos. Kids running off, science facts flying, and Janine and Gregory slowly rediscovering their easy, nerdy rhythm. They're laughing, joking, working as a team. It's the most natural they've been in weeks. Meanwhile, Ava is, shockingly, taking the trip seriously. She's trying to impress a group of school administrators who are also at the museum. She wears a blazer, introduces herself as Principal Coleman, community architect, and gives a PowerPoint presentation in front of a dinosaur skeleton, which crashes halfway through, sending her spiraling into stand-up comedy. Naturally, Barbara and Melissa take the museum's exhibits in stride. Barbara gets emotional in the civil rights section. Melissa mostly critiques the security measures and says she could crack this joint in under 2 hours. Love her. Back to Janine and Gregory. They get separated from the kids for a moment. Don't worry, Jacob has them. And find themselves, where else, inside the giant heart exhibit. They walk through the chambers. It's weirdly quiet. And then they talk. Janine brings up Taylor gently. Gregory says they broke up. She asks why. He pauses and then says, because I wanted to be honest with myself about how I feel and who I think about. The silence is louder than the heartbeat sound effects. Janine looks stunned but not surprised. Gregory, they don't kiss, they don't hug, but it's clear. Everything they've been dancing around all season, every glance, every sidestep, every just friends lie, it's now on the table. Janine gently tells him she needs time, not because she doesn't feel the same, but because she's finally choosing herself first. I've always gone from one thing to the next. Never stopped to just be me. Gregory nods. He understands. Really understands. They leave the heart. The symbolism is not subtle, but it's perfect. The episode closes with the teachers riding the bus back to school. The kids are asleep. Ava's mascara is running. Jacob is humming something educational. Gregory and Janine sit quietly across the aisle. Not together, not apart, just paused. Franklin Institute is one of the best episodes the series has produced so far. It's emotional, funny, and so authentically earned. It doesn't rely on a big kiss or dramatic confession. Instead, it trusts its characters to do the harder thing. Speak the truth and wait. It's a beautiful, bold way to end the season, and it promises that when something does finally happen between Janine and Gregory, it'll mean even more.